number one thing that investors should do now is they got to get over the fear of being on the sidelines. They've got to get in. There's a couple ways to play it. Don't miss it. Do the homework, do the math, and take advantage of this investment opportunity.
The next commodity supercycle won't be announced, it'll be taken. I'm Lyndsay Malchuk with Tonne here at MKK in Munich. And in a market where capital is cautious and attention is earned, there is very, very few leaders who know how to step into a cycle before it's obvious, who understand not just where the opportunity is, but how to position for it before the crowd arrives. We're talking about someone who has built a reputation on timing, on conviction, and on the ability to turn early signals into real market momentum. A leader operating right at the intersection of critical metals, global demand, and the strategic execution where the stakes are high and the upside is even higher. And right now, all eyes are staring right towards that very direction. I'm joined by Terry Lynch, CEO of Power Metallics. Terry, wow, great to see you here all the way in Munich.
Lyndsay, it's awesome to be here, and Munich is one of my favorite cities.
That's
love
right.
Munich.
I know, it's actually very beautiful here. I think last time we sat down was PDAC, and now I have to travel all the way to Munich to sit with you. Busy guy.
Yeah.
Let's definitely get right into it. I want to talk about your recent drilling results that you just put out. High-grade copper, this is getting some real attention. Why don't you dive into that for us?
Yeah, I mean, since PDAC, we've, I think, had a couple of assays out. I think there was one section, 16 meters or 15 meters of 15%. And then another one of 10%, So this is, and this is the part I think that people don't get. It's just how incredibly high grade this deposit is.
That's the truth.
And, when there's a couple of isolated cases, people can say, well, you can always pull out a couple of isolated cases. How about 90 intersections of more than 11 meters of greater than 4.25%?
And that's the thing. And maybe it is that people are just a little bit skeptical. Like, why is it so high grade? Is this actually true? How are you actually navigating through that story right now?
Yeah, I think one of the takeaways we took over the last number of months, when we reflected that's in our new pitch deck that's live now on our site. When we put out our exceptional metallurgical studies at the end of January, we thought that would be the market moment where the market realized, okay, this is definitely going to be a mine. It's going to be a rich one and a very profitable one, and it should be the re-rate moment. But instead, effectively, the stock went the other way. I mean, it went up a little bit, but then it came back. I mean, of course, we had the Iranian war, and pretty much every copper stock came back 40%, and we did too, but we should have doubled or tripled on that news, and we didn't. So we sort of had to get real with ourselves and say, hey, is there something we can do on the communication side that we're not getting across? Because clearly the penny hasn't dropped yet on Power Metallic to the, there's obviously a lot of loyal shareholders.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that. Those guys have been great, and they're continuing to support us in the market. But there are many people that have missed so far what I believe is really an exceptional opportunity. And we sort of felt that there's sort of three key questions that were unanswered in the investor's mind, and they were, polymetallics are complicated and will be difficult to sort of produce. Number one. Number two, it's too small to be a mine, and number three, it's copper. It's going to be expensive. Okay.
Yeah.
And so those were the three. None of them are true, by the way, categorically. But they're in the audience mindset, So we now have changed our presentation, changed it at the Roth conference about a month ago, and since then the stock's bounced back from $1 to sort of around $1.20 today or something like that, moving in the right direction. Still not as fast as we'd like, but heading in the right way. And I think the answer on the metallurgical side of things, obviously the evidence was the metallurgical report. I mean, it's categorically state of the art, run of the mill, run of the mine, from SGS, the world leader in the metallurgical, where we're getting like 95% recoveries across the board. So this is just exceptional. We had been using internally 80%, so 95% was phenomenal result. And that means an extra 20% drops to your bottom line for free. Okay, you can't get that. It's unbelievable. So that's one. Second, we brought out. I think there's a great chart in our deck now where we talk about the capital intensity.
Okay.
And we basically sort of say, hey, do you know the average grade for a copper mine around the world? You know what it is? 0.4%. So we're order of magnitude at least better than that. Okay, so that's staggering, but it's understandable in a way that the investors don't get it because it's so bloody unusual. The last discovery of this type was 18 years ago in Finland by Anglo-American Sakatti, another orthomagmatic. So, so I think we haven't done enough a good job re-emphasizing, hey, it's extremely high grade. And you know what you do with extremely high grade? You multiply the number by the number of tons, you get the metal contained in the ground. So would you rather have, 100 million tons of 1% or 10 million tons of 10%?
Right.
Clearly you want the other, right? So the less tonnage you have to process, it means less equipment, less labor, less energy, less environmental impact. So the capital intensity, the graph we have on there shows very clearly that, when you have a porphyry, you're going to spend in excess of $30,000 a ton to put it in production. For ours, it'll be way less than $10,000 a ton. So where people would think that, hey, is this going to be big enough? So the answer to that is do the math, take our high grade numbers by the tonnage that we have. Yes, it's small relative to giant porphyries, but the metal contained in the ground is not small. It's way more than enough to be a super profitable mine. We don't have to find another bloody thing. This thing's going to be a mine. That's my conviction. And to show how much we believe in it, we've moved up our PEA and MRE so that we can actually get this evidence out. Because I think that's the other thing that they've seen me talking about it, and they've seen analyst reports. Still, they haven't believed, So I think we need to get them that independent evidence of an independent 43-101. So we're going to get the MRE out this summer instead of next spring, and we're going to get the PEA out by the end of the year. So I think those two steps will totally de-risk this thing in the public's mindset. And I think our message to the investors is that we put the math out there. We're very transparent. And you can actually run the math. You can use the analyst estimates to run this math. You can put it in your Grok AI or Claude or whatever it is that you like. And you're going to come up with a very big number, many multiples of where our market cap is today. So if you know it's coming, do the homework, do the math, and take advantage of this investment opportunity.
And that's it. Right here in Germany, too, you're going to find the investors, they do that math. They do that deep dive. They do their due diligence farther than, what we're actually used to. Now, porphyry, you said it very clearly. It's very complicated. And so when we look at, as a whole, we see that copper is in such demand and it's not able to keep up. So now people are going, it's in such demand, I've definitely lost my chance. So how do you explain porphyry? How do you explain that the copper you have gives them that opportunity to still get into the market before it even takes up higher?
Yeah, and it's interesting. I agree with you that you run into people that think that we've missed the metal market, rebounds. And I would say we haven't even got to the start yet.
No, we're just scratching.
So early, particularly for copper.
Yep.
We're in the face of somewhat of a recessionary environment, obviously, because of the war, etc. But, copper's still breaking through $6.
It is.
Okay. So imagine when this economy, when we have to rebuild all the damage these wars in Ukraine and Iran have caused. I was talking with somebody the other day, and they told me how many factories, something like 50,000 factories have been wiped out by these wars. 50,000 factories. Imagine the copper and the nickel and the platinum, that you're going to need to rebuild here. And then on top of that, then you've got the AI overlay, which is the electrification driver. And it's like, what does that need? Copper. So, I think, copper's already showing this year, despite, recessionary sort of wins, that the supply is so constricted 100%. That it's going to rip. So copper's going to have a run at some point like gold and silver, and, I think that's one of the great commodities to be in. And so you haven't missed it. And what's great is you can buy so cheap now. You can buy cheaper than you've ever been able to buy from the company's perspective based on the value in the ground. So, I would say the number one thing that investors should do now is they got to get over the fear of being on the sidelines.
Get in there.
They've got to get in. And I've said this a few times. If you can't stomach investing in a individual junior miner like Power Metallic, for any number of reasons, because there's more volatility in the juniors, invest in these great mining funds. There's a number of great mining funds out there. And those guys are very scoped at investing in the Power Metallics of the world. So there's a couple ways to play it. Don't miss it.
Don't miss it. And that's the thing is there's so much buzz right now around copper is usually a secondary. It's not usually the sole one. So when you find a company that has such high grades coming out of your size, this is the time to look at a company like yours and saying, I have a chance to get in at incredible grades, and we haven't even touched the surface yet, even at a secondary.
When you think of it, in February of 2025, we raised $50 million from pretty much the top mining investors in the planet. Robert Friedland led the round, and Robbie Hume was in the round. So we've had some spectacular investors supporting us over the years. Yet since that date, okay, our commodities that we are in the line zone are up over 60% across the board. Okay, our land package has increased by 6 times. We're talking land that was adjacent to discovery, so red hot land. Okay, and we've continued to find the resources such that we're going to be able to put our MRE and our PA. So we're completely de-risking this thing. It's coming now. It's not coming like in 3 years. It's coming this year. In months, just a couple months, we'll have the MRE out, and the PA is coming after that. So it's like with all of these factors, the stock's down 20% almost. You say to yourself, "Hey, is that a head scratcher? Is there a chance here? Is there an opportunity?" Yeah, there's a hell of an opportunity.
Right.
You know, it's I think it's, hey, look, and I think we as a company have realized, hey, we have to do a better job of communicating. We probably didn't focus enough on talking to people about how unusual our grade opportunity is. It's just a very unusual beast. And I think, honestly, people see our headlines, you get 32 meters of 7%, and I think they must see, or that must be a typo. It must be 0.7%.
Absolutely.
Because they've never seen 32 meters of 7% before, or 16 meters of 15%. I mean, who the hell gets that, right? So it's understandable as an investor. You see that, and you're a little bit skeptical. You know what I mean? But this isn't one to get skeptical. Like, do your research. Go look at the data. We put all the data out there. The analysts have put the data out there. 90 intercepts of more than 11 meters of 4.25%. I mean, holy cow. Yeah, so this is just a massive high grade thing. And grade is profitability. Grade is payback. That's why this thing will get funded, will get built. This thing is just such a no-brainer in terms of how much money it's going to pour out. You know, it really is fantastic. So as an investor, hey, go and do some due diligence. This is found money for you. Get in there.
100%. Now I'm going to flip over to a different topic here. I know around the world right now, volatility is sky high. And when we look at jurisdictions, we also worry about that volatility. So why don't you tell us where your project is and,
Yeah, we're obviously blessed to be in Canada, and within Canada,
that's the key.
We're in Quebec, and I've said repeatedly, I believe Quebec is the best jurisdiction in the world for critical minerals. There's 3 key reasons. First one is infrastructure. So in our case, in mining in general, if the infrastructure isn't there, if the roads aren't there, if the power isn't there, if the airports aren't there, you've got to build them and pay for it out of your mine profits. Okay, so we got all of that at NISC. We literally drive off a route north, right to the site, right to the rigs. Power is already on the site. The Hydro-Quebec substation is literally across the road. Okay, we're 8 kilometers outside the town of Damascus. It's got a regional airport, has accommodation and food for our guys. A village of 1,500 people. It's also home to the James Bay Cree. One of the great things that the Quebec government has done, and the Canadian government, is work with the First Nations to make them a partner. So they actually get a cut of the royalties. So it's really good. So it's not the NIMBY thing that keeps so many projects at bay. It's not a problem for us.
How's permitting then?
Permitting has been expedited. So generally permitting would be a 2-year process.
Yeah.
And then a 2-year build. I think we'll get quicker than that, and we're already on that process. The third point that we wanted to just finish with and why Quebec is so exceptional is the fiscal benefits. So when we raised that $50 million, 80% of it was flow through, and we did a charity flow through buyback. So our investors, the Robert Friedland from McEwen's of the world, bought. So it went to permanent hands day one for $1.45. The company got $2.83 in cash. So that's a lot less dilution from our existing shareholders, and yet for the Friedlands and McEwen's of the world, they saw $1.45 become $2.83 to de-risk their investment.
Beautiful.
So it's exceptional. So that's why Canada is fantastic, and obviously with the world in this turmoil, it's even better, right? I mean it's about as safe as it gets, right?
That's the thing. You have high grade, you have permitting in place, expedited. You're in a safe jurisdiction. It really is a no-brainer.
Yeah, tremendous fiscal terms from the governments.
And you have Robert Friedland behind you. Robert, come on the show and talk about power. Thank you so much for sitting with us. Have a great time at the show, and I can't wait to hear your takeaways at the end of it as well.
All right, Lyndsay, sounds great. Thanks
Absolutely.
for having us. Cheers.
Terry, where can we find you? What's your ticker?
Yeah, so PNPN
Okay.
in Canada, PNPNF in the US, and IVV1, I think, in Frankfurt, and powermetallic.com. It's got good, you can sign up there.
Head over there, check it out, learn about their story. This is exactly what it looks like when experience meets opportunity at exactly the right time. Power Metallics is not waiting for the market, it's moving with it. Terry, strong conversation. Thank you so much again for having us, or for being with us, and come back soon.
Okay, Lyndsay, thanks again. Cheers.
Absolutely. Again, I'm Lyndsay Malchuk with Appeton. Stay tuned. There is more coming right here from MKK in Munich.